Take a look at this photo of Times Square. It is loud, intensely crowded, and representative of the hypersocial, restless reality of modern Homo sapiens. But if our ancestors had succumbed to a localized extinction event in Africa around 300,000 years ago, this entire global landscape would look very different. Neanderthals in the west, Denisovans in the east, and the diminutive Florasians in the south. To figure out what civilizations these species would build, we cannot project human history onto them. We have to rely on the hard biological and archaeological evidence they left behind. In a world shared by multiple intelligent hominin species, anatomy dictates the trajectory of empire. This technical scan of a Neanderthal skull reveals a brain vault exceeding our own. Its elongated shape and massive eye sockets, an evolutionary trade-off to capture scarce light during freezing winters, forced their brains to dedicate significant neural volume purely to visual processing. This allocation left less room for the prefrontal cortex, the region governing high-level social networking. According to the social brain hypothesis, this capped their Dunbar's number at around 120 individuals, limiting the maximum size of a cohesive Neanderthal group. Because they cannot maintain abstract social trust at the scale of thousands, Neanderthals are unlikely to form massive, cohesive empires. Instead, their society fractures into fiercely independent, highly territorial guild states and localized enclaves. Sustaining their heavily muscled bodies required upwards of 4,000 calories a day. Rather than farming low-calorie cereal grains, these guild states focus on the active ecological engineering and intensive husbandry of Ice Age megafauna. This is a civilization defined by intense individualism. Where sapiens rely on innate social trust, Neanderthals rely on rigid, formal contracts and material guarantees to facilitate trade between their isolated groups. In the east, we find the Denisovans. This is Denisova Cave, looking out over the Asian interior where this wide-skulled lineage thrived across unforgiving terrain. Their ability to monopolize these environments is written into their DNA. They carry the EPAS1 allele, which allows for efficient oxygen transport at extreme altitudes, and the TBX15 gene, which optimizes fat metabolism to generate body heat in the freezing Siberian cold. These genetic specializations, combined with a collective, community-oriented social structure, allow Denisovans to scale their populations massively while remaining unburdened by the visual cortex constraints of their Neanderthal cousins. Denisovans utilize the most lethal geographies on Earth as natural barriers. They build their empires atop the Tibetan Plateau and deep within the Altai Mountains, connected by shared animistic religions and vast high-altitude trade routes. By adapting to environments that would induce hypoxia or hypothermia in other hominins, the Denisovans secure a virtually untouchable regional hegemon. In Southeast Asia, we find Homo floresiensis. This is Liangbua Cave, where a 3.5-foot-tall species mastered a tropical world of strictly limited resources. This Florasian cranium reveals a tiny, yet highly reorganized prefrontal cortex capable of complex thought. However, biomechanical simulations show a fragile facial skeleton. During heavy chewing, tension at their jaw hinge reached dangerous levels, creating a high risk of dislocation. Because they could not process food through raw physical force, Florasians were obligate tool users and fire makers. They relied on stone blades to slice and fire to tenderize their food, inextricably linking their survival to their material technology. This is a Komodo dragon. To defend against giant predators like these, the tiny Floresians developed highly egalitarian social structures and coordinated ambush tactics. This physical fragility mandated a shift towards intense cooperation and external technology, eventually driving them to build complex, island-hopping maritime economies. To see how these anatomical differences would manifest in daily life, consider the hat. A modern cap is a bowl designed for a globular skull, a vertical forehead, and a protruding chin. Put one on an archaic hominin, and it would simply slide off or choke them. This diagram shows headwear engineered for archaic skulls. Left, Neanderthal hats hook under the occipital bun to counterweight aggressive visors. Center, Denisovan hats utilize an inward mastoid grip behind the ears. Right, Floresians secure a thermal microdome via a submandibular web. In this world, even the most mundane daily objects are strictly governed by radical anatomical divergence. This alternate modern era is defined by extreme longevity rather than rapid consumption. Because these species prioritize intergenerational durability over mass production, their cities are built to last for millennia, often carved directly into mountain faces with ancient stone and bone aesthetics. Their low global populations and small, stable social structures remove the pressure for mass-produced disruption. Tools and mechanics are built for thick, powerful fingers, intended to be passed down through generations. Because they hunt as low-population ambush predators, they never triggered the mass extinctions that followed our own expansion. Ice Age megafauna like woolly mammoths and giant sloths survive into the modern day, living alongside the hominins that manage their ecosystems for hundreds of thousands of years. Geopolitics on this Earth is a tripolar web connected by vibrant hybrid zones. Here, giant mainlanders and tiny islanders must navigate radically different biological realities to maintain their global trade networks. Intelligence on this planet exists as a beautifully diverse biological Middle Earth, 3 distinct ways of being human, each flourishing within the physical limits of the natural world.